Your toilet does not flush the way it did when you moved in. You know it already. You have been double flushing for months, maybe years, and you stopped being able to name when it started. So let me ask the one question somebody should ask before anybody touches anything. When did it go weak? Because a flush that faded slowly, one that went bad inside a couple of weeks, and one that was never any good to begin with, are three different problems with three different price tags. Guess wrong, and you spend $600 replacing a toilet that was working fine. I am Roger. I fix toilets, and a weak flush is the most misdiagnosed complaint I run into. Not because it is complicated, but because everybody skips the sorting step and jumps straight to a fix that does not match the cause. So we sort first, 3 doors. Door 1 is a flush that faded so gradually you cannot name the month it started. That is almost always mineral scale, and it costs about $5 to reverse. Door 2 is a flush that fell off fast over a couple of weeks. That one lives inside your tank, costs nothing, and takes about 4 minutes. Door 3 is the ugly one. Some toilets were born weak, and no amount of cleaning changes that. If yours is one, you want to know before you give up a Saturday. And stay to the end, because I am going to show you where your toilet keeps its own birth certificate. It is pressed into the porcelain. Most people have looked straight at it without seeing it, and it settles this whole argument in about 10 seconds. Before the sorting works, you need to know what a flush actually is, because most people have it backwards. Your toilet does not push waste down. It pulls. When you hit that handle, the tank dumps its entire load into the bowl in about 3 seconds, and the surge fills the curved pipe hidden in the back. We call that curve the trap. Once it fills completely, it becomes a siphon, the same principle as sucking soda up a straw and having it keep climbing after you stop. The water going over that curve drags everything in the bowl behind it. That is your flush. The whoosh, the swirl, that sharp gulp at the end. A siphon doing its job. A siphon is all or nothing. It either grabs or it does not. And to make it grab, you need enough water and enough speed at the same moment, which is why the water does not arrive in one big dump. Shine a flashlight up under the lip of your bowl and you will find a row of small holes angled sideways. Those are the rim jets, and their job is to spin the water around the bowl instead of dropping it straight down. Then at the front bottom, aimed into the throat of the trap, sits one larger opening. That is the siphon jet, and it fires a concentrated shot right where the siphon needs to start. Those openings are the entire ball game. Choke them and the water still shows up. It just shows up slow and scattered. And a siphon that never quite grabs is exactly what a weak flush is. There is a wrinkle in all of this, and it starts with a law. Hang on to this, because it comes back at the end. In 1992, Congress passed the Energy Policy Act. Starting the 1st of January, 1994, every new residential toilet sold here was capped at 1.6 gallons per flush. Before that, most used 3.5 gallons, and plenty of older ones used 5 or more. On paper, that is a good law, and it has saved a staggering amount of water. But watch what happened in the factories. Some manufacturers engineered new bowls from scratch to work on less water. Others did the cheap thing. They kept the same bowl they had been casting for a 3.5 gallon flush, changed the hardware inside the tank so it released 1.6 gallons, and shipped it. Same bowl, less than half the water. Those toilets flushed miserably, and that is not me being clever after the fact. The bodies that test toilet performance say it plainly in their own published history that changing the tank trim without changing the bowl led to poor flushing and customer complaints. Manufacturers spent the next decade fixing it, widening the tank outlets and opening up the internal passageways. Hold that thought. Here is what the wrong sort costs you. A plumber comes out for a weak flush. He's not going to spend 40 minutes with a mirror and a wire cleaning openings you cannot see because there is no money in that. He tells you your toilet is old toilets flush weak, and for somewhere between $350 and $800 installed, he can put a new one in today. He is not lying to you. He is answering a question you did not ask. And I want to be fair, because the trade is not the villain here. That is economics. There is real money in swapping a fixture, and almost none in cleaning a part nobody can see. Nobody ever built a business on prevention. Meanwhile, if you are behind door one, the repair is a jug of white vinegar for around $5 and a hex key you already own. So, be clear about what we are doing. We are not fixing your toilet yet. We are identifying which of the three it is, because the right fix on the wrong door does nothing. I have watched somebody scrub jets for 2 hours on a toilet whose whole problem was a chain 3 links too long. Before we open doors, it is worth knowing where this sorting habit comes from. It is not mine. It is how the trade has always worked. Handed sideways on job sites and never written down anywhere a homeowner could get at it. That struck me as a waste, so it is all collected now, in one place. It is called 100 Old House Fixes that save you thousands. A digital book, so it lands on your phone straight off. 100 fixes with the at-home checklist that go with them, so you can tell a cheap patch from a real repair and know what to ask a contractor. 2 ways to get it. Point your phone camera at the code on the screen the way you would read a menu, and it does the rest. Or skip the camera, because the link is in the description below. Nothing is going anywhere. Come back to it whenever suits you. All right. Door 1, the slow fade. This is the most common of the 3 by a wide margin, and it is the one people get closest to solving and still miss, because they clean the part they can see, confirm it first, flush, and actually watch the bowl. A healthy flush wets the entire circumference. On a scaled toilet, you will see a dead zone, a section that stays dry while the rest gets soaked, and that dead zone sits under a plugged rim jet. Then hold a small mirror under the rim with a flashlight. A healthy jet is an open slot. A choked one is crusted white or rusty orange, sometimes sealed over like somebody putted it shut. If that is what you are looking at, here is the repair. You need about half a gallon of white vinegar, some duct tape, a hex key or stiff wire, and an old towel. Shut the water off first. There's a small valve on the wall behind the toilet, usually on the left. Turn it clockwise until it stops. A word on that valve, because it matters in an old house. If it is one of those crusty multi-turn stops and it will not budge, do not lean on it. Old valves seize, and forcing one turns a 10-minute job into standing in water at 9 at night. If it will not turn easily, leave it and work with the tank full. Then flush and hold the handle down to drain the tank as low as it goes. Now dry the underside of the rim properly. because tape does not stick to wet porcelain, and this is where most people give up. Then run strips of duct tape along the lip until every hole you can reach is sealed. You are building a dam so the vinegar has nowhere to escape. Heat your vinegar. Warm, not boiling, and I am planting a flag on this one. Your bowl is vitreous china, a fancy way of saying glazed clay, and glazed clay hates sudden temperature swings. Boiling water in a cold bowl makes the inside surface expand faster than the outside, and that stress is what cracks porcelain. Stay under about 140 degrees. Hot tap temperature. If you cannot hold a finger in it, it is too hot. Boiling water also softens the wax ring under your toilet, a separate mess you do not want. Pour the warm vinegar down the overflow tube, the open vertical pipe standing up in the middle of your tank. It takes the same path the flush water takes, into the bowl's inlet and out through the rim channel. And because you tape the jets, it fills that channel and sits there. Now, leave it alone. 1 hour minimum overnight is better. Vinegar is a mild acid, and the scale is calcium carbonate, a base, so the acid eats it slowly from inside the channel where no brush has ever reached. While it soaks, one hard rule: nothing else goes in the toilet. No bleach, no bowl cleaner, and if you keep one of those blue chlorine tablets in your tank, get it out first. Acid plus chlorine releases chlorine gas in a small room, with the door usually shut. That is a genuine hospital trip, not padding. Vinegar alone and crack a window. Next morning, pull the tape. Work your hex key or wire into each rim jet gently. You are cracking loose, softened crust, not drilling, so do not hammer metal against the glaze. Go around the whole rim. Then clean the siphon jet at the front bottom because it is the most important opening in the fixture and almost always the worst. Turn the water back on and flush. Watch that swirl again. On a badly scaled toilet, you will hear the difference before you see it. If it improved without fully coming back, run it again, because serious buildup takes 2 rounds. And since the title promised 10 minutes, let me be straight. Your hands are on this thing for about 10 minutes. The soak does the real work while you are asleep. I am not going to pretend an 8-hour chemical reaction happens in 10. That is door 1. Now take the lid off your tank and set it somewhere it cannot fall, because that is heavy porcelain, and it will not survive the floor. Door 2, the sudden drop. This one is free. Look at the water level, then at the inside back wall of the tank or the overflow tube itself. You are hunting for a molded line, sometimes labeled water line, sometimes just the letters C and L for critical level. That is where the water belongs. No mark, and the rule is about 1 inch below the top of the overflow tube. If your water sits 2 or 3 inches under that line, you just found your weak flush. That is gone volume, shorted out of every flush you take. Fixing it takes seconds. Your fill valve is the tall assembly on the left. Modern ones use a float cup riding up and down the shaft with a long adjustment screw on top. Turn it clockwise to raise the level. Some use a spring clip instead, so you pinch it and slide the float up. On an older ball float, the metal arm with the balloon on the end, bend the arm gently upward. Raise it a little, flush, look again, and sneak up on that line. Do not go above it, because anything above the overflow tube runs straight down the tube and out, and you pay for that on the water bill forever. Now, the part almost nobody checks, And this is the one I really want you to have. Your flapper is not just a seal. Your flapper is a timer. That rubber piece at the bottom of the tank has to stay open long enough for the tank to actually dump. It floats up when you press the handle and hangs there until the water level drops past it and it falls shut. If it drops early, the tank stops emptying partway through and you get a flush that starts strong and quits on you. Full tank, half a flush. Here is the test. Flush. And watch the flapper instead of the bowl. It should stay standing up until the water is nearly gone. If it slams down while 2 or 3 inches are still sitting in that tank, that is your problem right there. 4 things cause it. Chain slack is the most common. Too much slack, and the handle never lifts the flapper high enough to float properly. You want about a ½ inch, no more. Move the chain to a different hole in the lever arm, or unhook a link. Second, a mismatched flapper, usually a universal one from the hardware store that does not seat right. Flappers run $5 to $10, so match yours rather than guess. Third, if your flapper has a little dial or an adjustable float on it that sets how fast it sinks. Turn the wrong way, you get a deliberately short flush. Move it toward the longer setting and test. Fourth, an old flapper gone waterlogged. Rubber absorbs water and gets heavy over the years, and a heavy flapper sinks fast. If yours feels dense and stiff instead of springy, replace it. One more thing while you're back there. Make sure that shutoff valve on the wall is all the way open. A half-open stop refills the tank slowly, so a second flush right after the first comes out weak. That is door 2. Nothing, or $10, and about 4 minutes. Now, door 3, and the manufacturers saw this one coming and said so out loud. Remember that law. If your toilet was cast between roughly 1994 and the turn of the century, there is a real chance you own one of those rushed conversions. Old bowl geometry, 1.6 gallons, and a flush that never worked properly on the day it was installed. Here is how you know you might be in this door. The flush has been mediocre since you moved in. You have always double flushed. It never got worse. It just never impressed anybody. You should still do everything in door 1 and door 2. Scale collects on a 1996 toilet the same as any other, and a low water line robs it just as hard. On a first-generation low-flow, those margins matter more, not less, because there was never any surplus to spare. Beyond that, one hardware move is worth knowing. Many of those tanks used a 2-inch flush valve. The drain opening, the flapper sits on. Bigger valves dump faster, and a faster dump is exactly what a siphon wants. Some models accept a 3-inch flush valve and flapper upgrade for a fraction of a new toilet. That is a parts lookup by model number, not a guess. And if none of it is enough, I will say the honest thing. Sometimes replacement is the right call. When it is, do not buy on price or looks. Independent testing measures how many grams a toilet clears in one flush, and those scores are published, so look yours up first. A good 1.28 gallon toilet today will flush circles around a 1996 1.6. Say you have done all 3 doors and it is still weak. Short list of what is left. Check whether other fixtures are sluggish too. If your tub gurgles when the toilet flushes, or bubbles come up in the bowl, that is a venting issue. Every drain system has a vent pipe running up through the roof to let air in behind the water, and a blocked vent means nothing downstream drains right. That is not a toilet repair, and not a ladder I want you on. If you have hard water, put door 1 on a schedule every 3 months. Scale never stops. It only slows down. And know your red flags. If sewage backs up into the bowl or the tub, if water seeps around the base, or if the bowl empties itself when nobody flushed it, stop. Those are somebody else's truck problems, and the money you saved here is money you can spend on that call without flinching. Now, the thing I promised you. Take the tank lid off again and turn it upside down. Look at the underside. Somewhere on that surface or on the inside back wall of the tank, there is a date pressed into the clay. Manufacturers stamp it while the china is still soft before firing, so it never wears off. It has been in your bathroom the whole time you have lived there. Some tanks carry a flush volume stamp beside it, reading 1.6 gallons per flush. Here is how to read what you find. A date before 1994 means a high-volume toilet, 3.5 gallons or more. Those had water to spare, so a weak flush is scale or tank hardware nearly every time. Door 1 or door 2, and you are in good shape. A date from 1994 through about 2000 with a 1.6 stamp means a first-generation low flow. Clean it, tune it, and set your expectations accordingly. A date past roughly 2005 means the bowl design was already fixed, so weak flush is scale or the tank, and you have no business replacing that fixture. That is the whole argument settled. For nothing, in about 10 seconds, with a lid. So put your toilet in a pile. Slow fade goes in the vinegar pile. Sudden drop goes in the tank pile. And that one does not cost you a dime. Always been weak goes in the read the lid pile. And only that pile has any business bringing up money. Almost everything sold as a worn-out toilet is just a toilet somebody filed in the wrong pile. You can read your own fixture now, and that is worth more than any single repair because it works on the next one too. That sorting habit runs through everything in 100 old house fixes that save you thousands. It is a digital download. 100 fixes for the parts of an old house that quietly cost you money, and there is a seasonal maintenance calendar in there telling you what to check and when, so the small stuff never grows into a service call. Point your phone camera at the code on the screen or use the link in the description, whichever you prefer. It will keep. And if you want more of this, subscribe to Roger the Pipe Guy. Because that is the whole point of this channel. Old house fixes that keep your money where it belongs. Go read your lid. I will see you on the next one.